So what we're doing is we're continuing our learning in the book Maragla Neshama, and the English equivalent is Tapestry for the Soul, and these books are for sale for anybody who wants them. And what they are is a compilation all around the text of the introduction to the Sefer Zohar by Rabbi Ashlag. Rabbi Ashlag was a great Kabbalist of the 20th century who opened the Kabbalah for us, basically. Now, this introduction deals with who we are and why we are in the world and what is the function of Torah and mitzvot. Because very basic ideas, but actually ideas that we all somehow want to know about and somehow never really got. Okay, now what we're going to deal with today is very suitable for Yom HaShoah. So I want to dedicate our lesson L'iloi nishmotam l'toharim u'kdoshim she'alu le'olamam b'chiruf nefesh b'kiddush Hashem b'yimei HaShoah. Okay, so what we're going to be dealing with today is what is the essence of evil? Why do we have evil in the world? And where does it come from? What is its role? And then we're also going to be looking at the different routes that the body and the soul go through in order to get to this world. Okay?
What page are you on? What page?
Oh, sorry. Shior Hey, so it's page 49. Okay? Oh, do you want your... you want? Okay, so you can share. There you go. Perfect. All right, so the Hakdama Sefer Zohar. So this Hakdama Sefer Zohar is written by Rabbi Ashlag, and that's what we're going to be studying. Vata niftach lanu hapetach להבין החקירה הרביעית. איך אפשר שיתהווה מקדושתו יתברך עניין מרכבת הטומאה והקליפות, אחר שהיא רחוקה מקדושתו יתברך מקצה אל קצה, ואיך ייתכן שיפרנס אותה ויקיימה? And now we open to ourselves the opening to understand our fourth question that we asked right at the beginning of this introduction. How is it possible that it could possibly come forth from God's holiness, may be blessed, the whole issue of the framework of uncleanness and the shells? What are the shells? The shells are the lights that sustain the framework of uncleanness. All right? Let's say you've got a desire for something, but it's never ever going to be satisfied. Sooner or later, you just drop it. Okay? So in order for a desire to be kept going, it's got to get some light. All right? And the lights that sustain the evil are called the klipot. That's what the klipot actually are. Like, for example, let's give an example. Supposing somebody annoying me on a continual basis like that, and it's really building up, building up, and finally I'm getting really angry, and one time he does something, okay, and now's my chance, okay, and I completely let go, and all that pent-up anger really gets let loose, okay? I'm sure you've all experienced that at one point or another. Don't you feel within that anger there's a surge of power, of energy? You feel great, you feel good, you feel terrific. You might feel regret afterwards, but at the time you feel there's some light in there. Okay? We all, right? Do you know what I mean? If there was no delight of some type in stealing, nobody would steal anything. Right. If there was no delight in the forbidden fruit, nobody would do anything. So those little bits of delight, okay, which are illegitimate, but nevertheless they are there, are what sustains the framework of uncleanness, and those are what's called the klipot.
So there's really light in klipot?
Yes, there are. Yeah, absolutely.
That's really manyan.
It really is interesting, because otherwise we wouldn't be drawn to do it. Okay?
I never thought about that.
Rabbi Nachman says that in any sheker, there is a point of truth that holds it.
That's right.
A point of light and truth that can hold the whole sheker.
That's exactly it. If there was no truth, nobody would believe it for a minute.
Wow.
That's right. When the snake enticed Adam, Eve, there was some aspect of what he said was the truth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just a little bit of truth. the moment that's what catches us. Okay? The little bit of light in the evil is what catches us. And that is called the klipot. All right? And so the klipot, the definition of the klipot is the lights to sustain the darkness. All right? That whole framework of evil is sustained by that. Now, he says, how is it possible that that can be, since it comes from God's holiness? God created everything. Everything. What's written here? What's our lovely picture? Ein od milvado. There's nothing other than him. So you can't have that only the Marechet of Kedusha is God and the Marechet of Tumah is something else. That's not a Jewish idea at all. The Jewish idea is Ein od milvado. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. God is one. Okay? Doesn't mean two, it means one. All right. Okay. So how can he sustain this? Since it is so far from his holiness, from one end to the other. Okay? Now, Rav Ashlag lived in the time of the First World War, and I'm pretty certain he'd already written this before the Holocaust, but he did live until 1955. So he spanned both world wars. All right? So he knew what happened. He also had foresight. He wrote an article, which is quite amazing. I wish I'd brought that book with and I forgot it today, in which he says, we know that there's going to be terrible deaths coming to the Jewish people, and there's nothing at this point that we can do anything about it. He foresaw the Holocaust. In 1921, before he left Poland, he pleaded with people to leave Europe. And he tried so hard to get them to leave Europe. But the rabbis, they didn't relate to what he was saying. And when he went back in 1925, I think it was, to pick up some of his children he had to leave behind, didn't have enough money for tickets. When he went to pick them up, and he went to visit his teachers at that point, again, he went around pleading to leave Europe.
Who was this again? Who was this?
Rabbi Yedidah Ashlag, the Baal Sulam.
Wow.
That's who we're talking about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he knew that the Marechet of Tum'ah, the framework of evil, is completely opposite from God's holiness. So how is it possible that he shall sustain it and let it be present? Okay.
Next time I get angry, I'm going to tell my husband I got angry because there's a little bit of light in it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean to say that's a good thing.
No.
All right?
Stop.
Okay. But still, all right, you can know that it's there. It's the little pitoy, it's the little trap, that entices us.
No justification.
No. Okay. So, what I wrote here is very interesting. I wrote, if we look with a very clear eye, in this sentence that Rabbi Ashlag wrote, we can see that there are three aspects. One, that the fact that the framework of evil comes forth from God's holiness may be blessed. That the framework of evil is in opposition of form, completely opposite from God, and that it is God who sustains it and keeps it going. All right? Now, it's these 3 points that Rabbi Ashlag is going to relate to further on in this lesson. Okay. All right. Now, he goes on to say, אכן יש להבין מקודם עניין מציאות מלכות הטומאה והקליפות. מהי? ותדע שזה הרצון לקבל הגדול, שאמרנו שהוא עצם מהותן של הנשמות מבחינת עצם בריאתן. כי על כן הן מוכנות לקבל כל המילוי שבמחשבת הבריאה. We need to understand, first of all, the reality of the uncleanness and the klipot. What are they? And we need to know that what we've defined in all our previous lessons is they actually are the big will to receive. Okay, if you remember, we have the Matarat B'Riyah, the purpose of creation. And the purpose of creation is to give all the goodness to the created beings. And in order for that to come forth, God immediately created in the created beings the desire to receive all his goodness. Because if we didn't want to receive it, there's no place to give it. Okay? So, on the one hand, this great will to receive, which is given to the souls, is so that we will be able to receive all the great light. On the other hand, if we remember, we also learnt that it is in opposition of form. Now, what does that mean? God only wants to give, and we want to receive. If you look at that, actually, they're completely opposite. All right? Opposition of form in spirituality separates, all right? Just as physical distance separates in physical reality. So in spirituality, opposition of form. If one is giving, the other one's receiving, you can't get more opposite than that. All right?
Although it works well, if someone wants to give, you have to have someone who wants to receive. If you have someone who wants to receive, and the other person wants to give, it seems like a team.
Well, you would think so, but in actual fact, for the one want to give and the other one to receive, there's got to be contact between them. All right? And there has to be some contact. Otherwise, they're too far apart. Okay? Now, you could say, since God wants to give us all good, why shouldn't we just receive it? But if we're so far apart that all our desire is only to receive and he's only the giving, there's no contact. There's got to be some connection. All right? Now the connection is there has to be some kernel of giving within the receiving, okay, for there to be a connection. There's got to be a connection between them. All right? So that, but if there's no connection, then one is all giving and the other one is all receiving. Okay, and they're completely separated. Now, this will to receive, which actually is the essence of the creation of the souls, it's the created aspect of the souls, okay, is what is actually forms ultimately the framework of evil. Now, when we're talking about a framework, what does he use the word framework? All right?
How is it in Hebrew?
Marechet hatumah.
The framework?
Yeah, well, yeah, Marechet hatumah v'klipot, or merkevet, or markevet hatumah. Yes.
It's like it creates the conditions for evil to exist.
It's not only that. If you've got an individual, okay, and he's acting in a, egoistic manner, all right, just ego-minded, okay, and he's one person, one individual, well, what harm really can he do? But when you've got 1 plus 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 1, then it takes on an energy of its own. So like, for example, if you take a society, an economic society, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, all right? And it's only I'm for me and I'm for me and I'm for me and I'm for me and everybody's just I'm for me, okay? And that's that type of society will produce. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And actually, to be honest, most of the economic societies in the world are based on that, okay? So it begins to take on an energy of its own. It begins to take on far more energy than just one individual person. All right? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
And also, I think the will to receive is when it's taking to a wrong direction. That's how he says here. Like that's the source of that mahut merkavet hatumah, because you can have a good will to receive. I see it this way. If a person wants to steal, for example, that's why? Because he wants to receive. He wants to have it from himself. But it's in a bad way because that receiving has no giving also.
Exactly.
When you receive and you give, for example, when you take tzedakah for somebody gives you something for free, And when you're receiving it, you're also giving him the ability to give you tzedakah, to do that mitzvah.
Yeah.
When you're receiving an invitation to come to be hosted by in Shabbos.
Right.
So that's also like you're receiving, you're also giving.
Yes. Right.
So when the receiving and giving is one, I think that this like the tikkun of the
Yes.
of the mitzvot, that's the tikkun for receiving and giving. That's what we do. But if the receiving is just in order to receive, then it's the evil merkava.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. You've got it exactly. Very good. Very lovely.
Why wouldn't it be good if God wanted to give and receive and we wanted to give and receive?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
God wants only to give. What would be wrong with God giving and receiving and us giving and receiving?
Well, okay, so it's not equivalent in that sense.
Isn't that the goal?
Oh, sorry, what?
Isn't that what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to both be giving and receiving.
No, we're not. No, a God in his essence is only giving. Okay, he doesn't have a lack.
He's receiving from us when we adopt him.
No,
Not us.
no. There's a difference.
Why?
Okay, so when God is shalem, God has no lack. All right. Why does he need our prayers?
He doesn't need them.
No, good. He doesn't need them. Who needs our prayers? We need to give. We need to be giving. So we need to do the davening. Okay. It's not God who needs to receive. God does not need to receive. He's the one who is good and does good to everybody, irrespective, to both the good and the wicked. Okay? He doesn't need anything. He's not a Baal Chisaron. Okay, but there is some aspect.
Receive it anyway?
What?
Like our prayers? Can he receive our prayers even though he doesn't need our prayers?
Yes, of course. Okay.
I think that's the whole idea in Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that we're becoming one of it. When we're giving and receiving at the same time, it's like we're becoming one of us, because he's giving us and receives from us, like in a mashal way.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yes. Out of his goodness he receives from us, but he doesn't have any lack. Okay? All right, so it's not quite balanced in that sense. Nevertheless, Rav Ashlag goes on to consider what is the essence of evil. Okay, where does it come from? And this is from...
He wants us to want him because he does stuff in our lives. For example, like people have sometimes like good in their life. Thank God, Baruch Hashem, everybody should have good in their life. I bless everybody. But sometimes people have tests. Why do they have tests? Because he has a desire that we should come close to him.
But
The
not for him.
Nisayon is for us.
It's for us. He wants us to come closer to him, for us, not for him. He is already complete. He loves us so much that he wants us to come close, but not for him. It's for us.
Beautiful.
The Nisayon is for us.
Yes. He doesn't have a need for I mean, he can, he doesn't have a problem to make everybody healthy 100% all the time.
Right.
Okay? Right. So if he gives us something, it's because to try to help us understand when we need to make a change, when we need to grow. Okay?
And to give to him for his name's sake, surely.
Sorry?
And to give to him for his name's sake.
Beautiful. Exactly. And to learn to recognize him. Because what's the greatest gift that God can give us? Himself. Okay? And sometimes we have to go around the long way around till we see it, because we're in a physical world. All right? Yeah.
That's the game.
Okay. Very good. And this is very, very nice conversation today. All right. All right, let's have another look at what Rav Ashlag says. Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, you turn page.
Oh, I turned page, page 50, top of the page. Very good. This is Matan Torah. This is another book that Rav Ashlag wrote. It's very interesting, Matan Torah. It wasn't actually a book. Rabbi Ashlag lived at the time of the British Mandate. The British were in charge of Palestine at the time. And he had a lot of Rahmanas. He had tremendous Rahmanas. He really did. And he didn't want to write just for the great tzaddikim. He wanted to write for the ordinary secular Jew as well, and to explain things in the terms that the secular Jews of his day would have understood. And so what did he do? He did something very interesting for a rabbi. When he was in England, I think it must have been then, he learnt taught himself Western philosophy. He read the main philosophers of Western philosophy in order to be able to bring over these ideas in terms that also secular Jews would be able to understand. I mean, really, it was a tremendous thing he did. And so he wrote a series of articles, originally about 200 articles, which he wanted to publish as a sort of like weekly newspaper thing. But the British wouldn't allow him to publish a newspaper. I don't know, you needed some special license. So then he published them as pamphlets. And then they banned those as well because they said he was a communist. And so basically, only 6 of these ever got published. Okay, and they were published under the name of Matan Torah, the gift of the Torah. And now recently, an amazing thing has happened. Somebody's been investigating and they managed to find a lot more of these 200 articles. So Bezrat Hashem, they're going to be published. The first time, yeah. So these are articles that he wrote specifically for the secular Jew. But of course, nowadays, all of us have been a bit contaminated by secularism anyhow. They're also fascinating and useful for us as well, for everybody. All right. This is from the article, What is Religion and Its Purpose? And he writes, and in order not to weary the interested reader, we will explain what is evil and what is good in a general way. Egoism. All the evil is only a selfish love, which we call egoism. Okay, so he learned a bit of psychology to be able to use these words. Because it is in opposition of form from the Creator. All right? The Creator is all giving, all loving, all giving. And what is an egoistic nature? Just considering himself and what his own self-gratification is. Okay? And I said he, but I mean, anybody. Because God does not have a will to receive himself at all. Only the desire to do good unconditionally. Okay, to give benefit, to give his light. Okay. So here we have the paradox of creation. On the one hand, we need our will to receive, ultimately, in order to receive all that God wants to give us at the end of the creation, at the Gemara Tikkun. All right? That we should be able to receive the light of God, and also in our lives that we should be able to receive the light of God. Okay, may it be blessed.
Amen.
Yeah.
And you should be blessed too.
Thank you. On the other hand, when we just use our will to receive, we're in opposition of God and separate from him. All right? So this, it seems to us, to be a paradox. On the one hand, this is our basic nature, this is the way he created us. This is what we need to have. On the other hand, if we just use our nature, we're separated from him. Okay? So, how can we correct this? How can we come, despite our basic nature, how can we come to affinity of form with God? How can we rectify the situation? All right? And this rectification is called the Tikkun Abriya. Okay?
Tikkun Olam.
Well, Tikkun Olam is part of Tikkun Abriya. Yeah. But Tikkun Abriya, how do we do Tikkun Olam? First of all, by working on ourselves.
Yeah, our inner world.
Exactly. Why is inner work more important than outer work in this respect? Okay? Because on the inside, the whole of humanity is one soul. All right? So if I work on my own inner self, I'm not only elevating me, I'm elevating everybody else as well. Okay? So I'm not saying that working on the outside isn't important. It also is, of course. All those are tremendous people who work for ecology, who work for the poor, these are all important things, absolutely. But if we can't do any of those outer things, at least we can all of us do the inner things. And I think this is something very important. It's something actually brings at the end of the Hakdama, but we'll bring it here because today is Yom HaShoah, and I feel, we all feel the importance of Am Yisrael today. And the issue is that we must never feel we can't do anything, that we're victims, that the whole system is so big, what can I do? Okay? Because of this understanding that we all are one soul, and if all I can do is work on myself, we should know that we're doing a great deal. Okay? So it takes away the victimization, the feeling we're too small to affect anything. It's not true. Okay? We are all equally important in that respect, and whatever any single person can do is very important and makes a huge difference. All right. So, we're going to carry on with the Hakdama. Hakdama l'Sefer HaZohar. Omnam, hu haratzon lekabel lo nishar b'tzurato zo b'neshamot. It's where it says Yud, Hemshech. However, this will to receive did not stay in its form in the souls. Kim haya nishar behen hayu muchachot l'she'er tamid b'pirud mimenu barach. Because if it had have stayed just like that, they would have remained always in separation from God, may be blessed. Because their change of form by nature of their will to receive, which is our basic nature, would have separated us from Him, may be blessed. And in order to correct this issue of the separation, Hamunach ala kli shel haneshamot, which is laid on the vessel of the souls, barayit barach et kol olamot kulam v'ivdilam l'shtei marachot. God created all the worlds and separated them into two systems. Besod hakatuv, in the inner meaning of the scripture, zeh l'umat zeh asa Elohim. God made this one over opposed to that one. That's in Kohelet. Haim arba olamot hanikrim atzilut, bria, yitzira, v'asiyah shel kedusha. These are the four worlds which are called atzilut, bria, yitzira, and asiyah of holiness. Ulumatam arba olamot. And opposing them are the four worlds atzilut, bria, yitzira, v'asiyah shel tumah. Hitzbiya et ratzon lashbiya marachot atzilut bria yitzira v'asiyah shel kedusha. He stamped the will to give benefit in the whole system of atzilut bria yitzira and asiyah of holiness. V'yisir mehem et ratzon lekabel atzmo, and he took out of it their will to receive for themselves, their egoism. V'natan oto b'marechet olamot atzilut bria yitzira v'asiyah shel tumah, and put that in the whole framework of the worlds of Atzilut, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah of Tum'ah.
There is a lot of Atzilut of Tum'ah?
Well, I also asked that question. That was very odd to me.
To me too.
Huh?
Because Atzilut is like infinite light.
Yeah, I know. That I'm not, to be honest, I honestly don't know the answer to that one. Because I understood that there's no klipot in the world of Atzilut. From Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah, yes. However, it might be that he just used it as zeh l'umat zeh, that Bria Yitzira, sometimes, just in language, abaya of Kedusha, abaya of Tumah.
Because there's Malchut HaRish'ah, like Malchut HaTumah, like the kingdom of Tumah, so maybe there's a B'china of Atzilut there, it's still like very...
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. That I also wondered about that, because that's something we have to ask Eliyahu Novi when he turns up. Okay? ונמצאו עולמות של טומאה בגלל הרצון לקבל עצמו נפרדים מהבורא יתברך מכל עולמות של קדושה. And we find that the worlds of Tumah, because of their will to receive for themselves alone, are separated from the Creator, may be blessed, and from all the worlds of Kedusha. Right, what is a world? Okay, we're talking about worlds. What's a world? Okay? It's a whole system of consciousness. All right? Rabbi Ashlag goes into this later on in the introduction, but since we're talking about worlds, a person can be in this physical world, all right, but his being, his mind, his emotions, his consciousness can be connected with the world of Atzilut. When does this happen? When we're davening, all right? If you look in the Sephardi prayer book, in the Sephardi Siddur, it's actually marked which tefillot belong in which world. If there's one here, I'll show you. I'm not sure if this is a Sephardi one. Let's have a look. You have it?
Yeah, you have
Hey, Dr. Mizrach, hooray! Thank you so much. Bless you. Okay, so how does it start? We start off morning with the korbanot, right? And Pesukei Zimra. So from the beginning of the korbanot and Pesukei Zimra is in the olam of Asiyah. Okay, now it usually actually tells you this. Yes, it does. And it goes all the way up to Yishtabach. Okay? Now, here you are. If you can actually see it, from where it's written, from Yotzei Or until Go'al Yisrael hu ba'olam habriya. Okay? So from when we say the first bracha after Yishtabach, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Yotzei Or Vorei Choshech, okay? That is in the consciousness of Bria. So when we're davening and we're able to focus, because it doesn't always happen, sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, it's a bit mishamayim, a bit of help there. But when a person is really able to focus, put all his being in his tefillah, he's actually, his kavanah, he's actually connecting with these worlds of holiness. All right? And we go up like a ladder. All right? We start off with the lowest one, which is Asiyah of Kedusha. Okay? From the korbanot to the end of Yishtabach. All right? Then when we begin the brachot before the Shema, it's Yotzei Or Vorei Choshech. That's in the world of Bria, and that includes the Shema. Okay? Wait a minute. No, I must have said something wrong. I'm wrong. No, wait a minute. I've missed out Yetzirah. Something went wrong here. Mistake. Start again. Right. Start again. Asiyah is, yes, that's right. I beg your pardon. Asiyah is from the korbanot to Baruch She'amar. That's what I missed out. Okay? Asiyah is from korbanot to Baruch She'amar. Here we have it. Okay? Baruch She'amar ad Yotzei Or Olam HaYetzirah. Okay? That makes sense. Then Yetzirah is from Baruch She'amar to the end of Yishtabach. And then from then the Shema is in the world of Bria. And the world of Atzilut is actually the Amidah. The Shemona Esrei. Yeah. And then if you go on, after that, you also go back down through the worlds. I don't remember this so well.
What is Shema Yisrael?
Shema Yisrael is Olam HaBriya. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I told you wrong to start off with. I apologize. Okay, this is not my usual siddur, so I got a bit lost. I should have brought mine with, but I forgot. All right, so then you can see, if you look in the Sephardi siddur for following the Amidah, it goes, again, it tells you which bits are where, when. Okay?
Within the Amidah, or is the entire Amidah?
The whole Amidah, the whole of the Amidah is in the world of Atzilut. Okay? It says, from Ashrei until Tefillah LeDavid is the Olam of Bria. Okay. Then after that we have...
You said the world of Bria is which one?
It's Shema Yisrael.
Shema?
Yeah, so you go from Asiyah to Asiyah, Yetzirah, Bria, and Atzilut. Okay?
Right.
So Asiyah, when we're davening, Asiyah is the korbanot. Okay? And Psukei de Zimra. Yetzirah is from Baruch She'amar to the end of Yishtabach. Okay? Bria is Yotzeo Vorei Choshech, the beginning of the brachot of the Shema, till Ga'al Yisrael. And the whole of the Shemona Esrei is the world of Atzilut. Okay? Great. So we can see that we actually are able, in this physical world, to connect with higher worlds. Now, we can also do that when we do mitzvot. And Rav Ashlag, I'm certain, spent most of his time, connecting with the higher worlds. It's just incredible. Now, he was actually consciously aware of which world was which when. We're not consciously aware of this. But when we're trying to consciously do a mitzvah in a conscious way, we have to know that although physically we're here, we are accessing higher spiritual worlds at the same time.
So he actually felt it and
Yeah, I'm sure. Leila Seder. Leila Seder, we all sat down on Leila Seder. Nachon?
Yeah.
Right, wasn't it amazing? Okay. So you have the physical matzahs and you have the physical wine, okay? But what consciousness we were in? Normal everyday consciousness? No. Absolutely not. We were totally connected with the higher worlds and the light of Geula that was coming in. All right? So these worlds, when we're talking about worlds, we are talking about consciousness, higher levels of consciousness, which are also accessible from where we are here in this world. And we're going to talk about how they're formed later on in this introduction in further lessons. Yeah?
In our scroll sitter, there's a comment on the bottom of when you say the Shema, that you emphasize the last Daled in Echad because you're uniting all four worlds.
Beautiful. Very nice. Okay, so that's very nice because in every world, all aspects are included. All right? But we'll talk about the actual formation of the worlds and how they're made up later on in this introduction, okay? Not in this particular shiur. So what we're looking at here is something that God created two frameworks. He took the worlds, okay, and he divided them into two. And one lot is called the Framework of Holiness, and that has all the desires of giving unconditionally, of love and holiness and goodness of different levels, okay? And he took the framework of desiring, ego, only for myself alone, okay? Only I just want to get, okay? And he just take. And he divided, and that he also called the framework of evil, all right? And there are different levels of that as well. And those are the worlds which are separated from God. Okay. Mitama pirud zeh, because of this separation, mechunot klipot b'shem meitim, the klipot, the lights which sustain the evil, are also called dead. Okay? Why? Because they make a person dead. In what sense? Kamosh katuv yitzamdu lebal peor v'yochlu zivchei meitim. That's from Tehillim. When the people of Israel, children of Israel, were coming out of Egypt, they tried God in lots of different circumstances. All right? Okay, Baal Peor was one of them. Okay, Baal Peor was just after Bilam and Balak. Okay, and Bilam he didn't want to bless the people. He wanted to curse the people. He wanted to do what Balak wanted, but God made him bless them. Okay, so afterwards he said, well, I know how we can, deal with them, and if you get them to sin, that will do it. So he set up these idols in Baal Peor, and he caused the children of Israel to sin at Baal Peor. And those who did sin at Baal Peor, and it says, V'yochlu zivchei meitim, they ate the sacrifices of the dead. What does the dead mean? The dead means they're separated from the life of all lives. Now, That's a very interesting idea. To me, this was an eye-opener. This whole idea of what is life and what is death suddenly have a very different meaning. Mm-hmm. All right?
Mm-hmm. But you can be consciously dead.
Yes. Machayei meitim b'rachamim rabim. Every day we say, who revives the dead with everlasting mercy. Okay? Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, sometimes it's every 5 minutes. I fall down, and at that moment I'm separated. Okay? And then he says, Yedidah, where have you gone? And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Come back again. Absolutely, that's Baruch Machayei Meitim. And I think he does Techiyat Meitim all the time. All right? That's the real meaning of Techiyat Meitim.
My dad used to say, I'm Mechayev.
Exactly. Right. It wakes you up again. It brings you back. Yedidah, where have you gone? Okay? This is vital information from when we're davening on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Okay? So, Kotvenu B'chaim, write us in Kotvenu B'Sefer Chaim, write us in the Book of Life. All right? What does it mean? Well, of course we want to live physically, but it's not that is the only thing we're asking for. In fact, that's the smallest of the things we're asking for. What we're really asking for is remind us to be connected with you. Keep us connected with you. Zochreinu l'chaim, remember us for life. What's life? To be connected with God.
Well, there's that saying, what's that Tzaddik who said, they gave him a blessing for a long life. He goes, if I'm connected, I want a long life. But if I'm not connected, what's a long life, There's a saying, there was a Tzaddik who said that. Something about they gave him a blessing for a long life. He's like, if I'm connected to Hashem, I want a long life. If I'm not connected to Hashem, then I don't want a long life.
Right.
If I'm with you, because otherwise, what is life? If you're not connected, it is death.
Right. Connected. So the moment, exactly. So what he's saying here.
A person's not connected.
Okay. So the Rishayim, Hanim Shechim Achareim, those who were drawn after the idols and ate from the idol worship sacrifices were called dead. Why? Kamosh Amu Chazal, as the sages said, Harishayim B'chayim Nikuim Meitim. The wicked in their lifetime are called dead. All right? It's a horrid feeling.
Now it makes you understand about Chiyat HaMetim, the revival of the dead, that it's within us, like it's in our consciousness. Like they say, it's Chaim ila machazikim ba.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
It's powerful.
It's powerful. It's very powerful. It changed my whole understanding of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
And all the Chagim. And all the Chagim and Shabbos, like you can take it.
You can, absolutely. כרצון לקבל המוגבר בהם, הנמצא בהפכיות הצורה מקדושותיי ברוך, מפרידם מחיי החיים. Because the will to receive, which is embedded in them, in the klipot, when we connect with those klipot, is in opposition of form from God's holiness. And mafridan mechayei chayim, okay, and separate them from the life of all lives. V'hein klipot, which is the satisfactions that we get from the will to receive for ourselves alone. V'chokot mimenu yitbarach mikatzeh lakatzeh, are opposite from God, from one end to the other. For God has no issue, no interest in receiving, okay? Only wants to give alone. Whereas the klipot have no aspect of giving. They are only interested in receiving for their own pleasure. And there's no opposition of form greater than that. Ukvayadata, and you've already know, שהמרחק הרוחני מתחיל בשינוי צורה במשהו, ומסתיים בהפכיות הצורה, שהיא סוף המרחק בדיוק האחרונה. And we already learned that the spiritual distance begins in change of form and finishes in opposition of form, which is the ultimate of distance. Okay? It's really, really, really amazing. Now I wrote here, which is very interesting, how does the framework of uncleanness find expression in our lives today. And when you're at home, of course, you can have a look at this. Today, of course, we've got the dogma of the terrible leaders, cruel leaders that have ruled in the world. I'm not going to mention them now. Okay? However, it also manifests in our economic systems. How does it manifest within the families? The will to receive for ourselves alone. All right?
Didn't Rabbi Ashlag say that if a person receives for themselves alone, they become angry at the person who's giving it? If the person that's giving them and they're just receiving and they're not giving, Rabbi Ashlag says that they become angry with the person that's giving them. Like a resentful, because we're supposed to be able to give. That's the whole, I mean, we're supposed to be able to receive as well, but we're supposed to give, be givers like Hashem. So if we're not given the ability to give, and this person's allowing us to just take from them, then we're going to start to hate that person because they're not giving us the ability to emulate Hashem and be like Hashem. No?
I'm not quite sure I followed, to be honest.
Does anybody follow me?
Yeah, because there's a disconnection, like what she's talking about, I think is what you're saying, is that when one is always giving and the other one's always receiving, there's that distance. There's not that closeness to that connection. So there can be like not really great feelings growing between the two because there's not that connection of giving and
Sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in.
Rabbi Ashlag also talks about that concept that if you're constantly taking from a certain person, you'll start to resent that person, be uncomfortable with that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's right. Absolutely true. Yeah. I was thinking in terms of, unfortunately there's children who are neglected, children who suffer abuse. These things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, these things happen, and why are they happening? Because the adult is working only for his own self-gratification and not for thinking about the needs of other people. And this happens in every level of society. And the place to work, like I say, it's not a theory, what he's saying. What he's saying is, that's why I asked these questions in this book, because I wanted to bring it down into reality. This is not just theoretical learning, that we've got this and we've got that, and what does it mean? We've also got to see how it functions in our lives. Okay?
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
He says, V'kvar yadata, you already know, that the spiritual distance begins with the changing of the form, that's certain something, and ends with the opposite of the form.
Right.
Which is the end of the distance in the last step. What is that?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, God is ultimate in giving unconditionally, all right? Let's say that I want to be giving unconditionally, but I've got a little bit of self-interest in there as well. Like, for example, I'm walking down the street and a beggar holds out his hand, okay? So I think to myself, oh yeah, I'll give him something. So I give him something, and straight away I think to myself, what a good person you are, Yedidah. I'm patting myself on the back, all right? So on the one hand, yeah, I had good intentions, but on the other hand, I gave to my own ego, all right? And it's actually quite difficult not to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult not to do that. Yeah, so I wanted to, on the one hand, yes, I did have the motivation to give, but was it completely unconditionally? It wasn't. To be truly unconditional, my focus can only be on the other guy, all right? Like, what is his true need? Do you see what I'm saying? If I'm looking for appreciation or kavod, or even I think to myself, ha, 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 that's not quite unconditional.
I understand, but isn't that like parallel to the understanding of the idea that we talked about, receiving is giving in one, that's the tikkun, so when you give, you're actually receiving also.
Yeah, but not quite, okay? It really more depends on where your focus is, okay? And it is a gradation. Like, I can go from, like, the complete opposite would be just No, I'm not giving him anything. I need the money for myself. I want to buy a new car or something. Okay? All right? So that would be one opposite. Okay? And I can go from giving, just in order to fulfill the mitzvah, put a tick on, get, I could be doing it for myself in the sense that I want to go to Gan Eden when I die. All right? Who am I really working for?
I understand.
I'm working for me.
Okay, so I'm talking about the consciousness just to give in order to give.
Ah, right.
And that's what I like.
Yeah, to give only to give would be complete affinity of form, completely one with God. But there's lots of consciousness before then. All right?
So how does it has to do with the reverse of the form that it says that that's the end?
That would be like completely opposite, but there's lots of gradations in the middle. So that could be, for example, somebody who gives money to the hospital in order that everybody will see his name on the plaque. All right? Now, okay, I'm not now, don't think for 1 minute that I'm degrading that. Those people in the hospital are going to get better. All right? That is a much better thing to do with your money than anything else you can possibly do. That's fantastic. All right? If you're going in the street, you see a beggar and you give him your 5 shekels or whatever it is you give him, he's still going to get his cup of coffee. All right? So whatever your motivation, even if your motivation inside is selfish or has got some selfish element, you're not in Hefriyut Tzura. You're not in the opposite end. You're really not. You're already on the path. Now, Rabbi Ashlag writes about this, and he says, we all begin with our wills to receive for ourselves alone. Okay? And the idea is to finally transform so we come to being one with God, despite our wills to receive. Okay? Or together with our wills to receive. Okay? So, yeah, 1 second. Okay. So he says, giving, even when we've got selfish motives hidden in there, is called Torah shelo lishma. Torah which is done not for its own sake, but that's still better than no Torah at all. Okay? So you go from no Torah at all to Torah shelo lishma. Okay? And then Torah shelo lishma can actually bring us to Torah melo lishma, yavo lishma. Okay? That will take us to Torah shel lishma, and when we're in Torah lishma, we're already in affinity of form with God. So that's how you get that you can start with just a change of form, which would be Torah shelo lishma. Okay? All right? Or God forbid, avirot, which would be will to receive for yourself alone. Okay? So you go from avirot would be opposition of form. Torah shelo lishma, mixture in the middle. Okay? And we all do that. It's a good thing. We have to do it. It's a process, exactly. And then Torah lishma, we're already in affinity of form with God.
Are you
Okay?
saying Torah shma, like to listen?
No, Torah
Lishma?
lishma for its own
From
for
the
its
soul?
for its own sake.
For its own sake.
Yeah, Torah for it.
Shma is
Yeah.
for its
Lishma,
own-
it's like for her name, for the name of the truth. Of the
Yeah,
truth.
exactly. Torah for its sake and Torah not for its own sake. Okay? It's like Torah, yeah.
So Lishma, it's with Ayin, and Lishma, it's with Hey. So this is me, and this is him.
Okay. So just to wrap up the shiur today, okay, we started to look at different examples in the framework of evil, but we must always remember, Zeh le'umat zeh bara Elohim. God created them one against the other. Now there's this wonderful song of the Bretzlovers, and I just love it. And I can't remember how it goes, but you probably remember it. Im efshar lekalkel, efshar letaken. All right? If you need to believe that if it's possible to mess up, it's also possible to correct. Because God created one framework opposed to the other. Now we all fall in, okay? The most important thing to remember is we can all get up again, okay? Even if we use our wills to receive ourselves alone, remember God taps us on the shoulder, every 5 minutes, keeps us alive, keeps us connected with Him, wakes us up again, and God created two opposite frameworks, and they are opposite each other. So if we fell into the framework of evil, we can always connect with the opposite in the framework of Kedusha. Okay? All right? So that's what we're going to take home with us today. All right? So we're going to look at those two frameworks. And Bezrat Hashem, next week we're going to carry on, and we're going to be learning a beautiful piece from the Zohar, which talks exactly on this point. Okay? Lovely. Very good. Baruch Hashem. Very good.